The story begins on the desert planet of Tatooine, where twin suns burn across endless dunes, casting long shadows over Mos Eisley's dusty streets. It is a time of tension in the galaxy, with the Trade Federation tightening its grip on trade routes and whispers of a shadowy Sith presence stirring unease. Yet in this remote corner of the Outer Rim, a figure moves with purpose through the crowded marketplace, his brown cloak billowing in the dry wind. Luke Skywalker, no longer the farm boy of a later era, but a Jedi master in his prime, walks with the steady gait of one who has faced darkness and emerged whole. His lightsaber, hidden beneath his robes, hums faintly with the Force, a quiet reminder of his strength and burden. Luke's presence here is no accident. Through a ripple in the Force, a vision granted by ancient Jedi texts on Ahch-To, he has been pulled from his own time to this pivotal moment, decades before his birth. The Force has chosen him to alter the galaxy's path, to confront the rising Sith before their plans consume all. Yet, as he navigates the bustling stalls, his heart is heavy with doubt. The weight of destiny presses against him. Can one man, even a Jedi Master, change the course of a galaxy already teetering on the edge of war? His blue eyes scan the horizon, searching for a sign, but the Force remains silent, offering no clear path. Luke knows he must act, but the fear of failure, of repeating the mistakes that once led to the Empire's rise, gnaws at him. In the marketplace, a familiar figure catches his eye, Qui-Gon Jinn, tall and serene, his presence a beacon of calm amid the chaos. Qui-Gon, unaware of Luke's true identity, is here on a mission for the Jedi Council, investigating rumors of a pod-racing prodigy named Anakin Skywalker. Luke's breath catches at the name, a pang of recognition and sorrow twisting in his chest. His father, still a boy, is somewhere in this city, untouched by the darkness that will one day claim him. Qui-Gon, sensing Luke's gaze, turns and offers a nod, mistaking him for a wandering Jedi. Luke returns the gesture, but his mind races. Qui-Gon's mission will lead him to Anakin, setting in motion the events of the Phantom Menace, events Luke knows will end in tragedy unless he intervenes. Yet, to act is to risk disrupting the Force's balance, a lesson he learned through years of exile and loss. Luke's inner conflict deepens as he follows Qui-Gon from a distance, weaving through merchants hawking droid parts and spiced meats. The Jedi Master in him demands action, to find Anakin, to shield him from the Sith's grasp, to confront the Trade Federation's blockade of Naboo before it escalates. But the man in him hesitates, haunted by memories of his own failures with Ben Solo, of a Jedi Order that crumbled under its own rigidity. What if his interference only hastens the darkness? The Force brought him here, but it offers no answers, only the weight of choice. As Qui-Gon disappears into a junk shop owned by Watto, Luke lingers outside, his hand brushing the hilt of his lightsaber. He knows he cannot remain a bystander, but every step forward feels like a step toward an abyss. The pulse of Tatooine's streets fades as Luke's focus shifts to the broader galaxy. On Naboo, the Trade Federation's droid armies tighten their blockade, their sleek ships casting shadows over Theed's golden spires. Luke senses the Sith's hand in this, a malevolent thread weaving through the Federation's actions. Darth Sidious, hidden in plain sight, orchestrates chaos from Coruscant, his apprentice Darth Maul stalking the shadows. Luke's vision on Ahch-To revealed Sidious's true identity, Palpatine, the senator who will one day become emperor. This knowledge is both a weapon and a curse, for Luke cannot act without proof, and the Jedi Council, bound by tradition, may not heed his warnings. His mission is clear: expose Sidious, protect Anakin, and prevent the Sith's rise. But the path is fraught with peril, and Luke knows he cannot do it alone. Qui-Gon emerges from Watto's shop, his expression troubled but resolute. Luke senses the Jedi Master's discovery. Anakin, a boy strong with the Force, enslaved yet brimming with potential. Qui-Gon's mission now shifts, his focus on freeing Anakin and bringing him to the Jedi Temple. Luke watches, torn between revealing himself and staying hidden. Qui-Gon's path will lead to a confrontation with Darth Maul, a battle Luke knows will claim the Jedi Master's life. The thought stirs a secondary purpose in Luke, a pulse of loyalty to the Jedi who first saw his father's destiny. If he can save Qui-Gon, he might preserve a mentor who could guide Anakin away from darkness. This resolve hardens Luke's heart, pushing him to act despite his doubts. He steps forward, blending into the crowd, determined to shadow Qui-Gon and intervene when the time comes. Luke follows Qui-Gon to the outskirts of Mos Eisley, where the Jedi Master prepares to meet Anakin at the pod race arena. The roar of engines fills the air, and Luke's senses sharpen, alert for any sign of Maul. The Sith apprentice, dispatched by Sidious to eliminate threats to the Trade Federation's plans, is a specter Luke cannot ignore. On Tatooine's dunes, the Force hums with tension, a clash of light and dark looming. Luke's hand hovers near his lightsaber, his mind racing with strategies. He could confront Maul now, ending the Sith's threat before it grows, but such a move risks exposing himself to Sidious, who watches from afar. Instead, Luke chooses caution, focusing on Anakin and Qui-Gon. The pod race begins, a blur of speed and danger, and Luke feels the Force surge through the young Anakin, a raw power that both awes and terrifies him. As the race unfolds, Luke's emotions churn. Anakin's victory, a moment of triumph, is a step toward his discovery by the Jedi and toward Sidious's influence. Luke's heart aches with the knowledge of his father's future, the pain of Darth Vader's shadow lingering in his soul. Yet, he sees hope in Anakin's untainted spirit, a chance to rewrite his fate. Qui-Gon, standing at the arena's edge, radiates quiet pride, unaware of the greater forces at play. Luke approaches, his cloak concealing his identity, and exchanges brief words with Qui-Gon, posing as a traveler seeking passage off-world. The Jedi Master's wisdom shines through, but Luke senses his stubborn adherence to Jedi protocol, a flaw that may blind him to Sidious's machinations. This conversation plants a seed in Luke's mind, to earn Qui-Gon's trust and guide him toward a broader understanding of the Force. The tension escalates as Luke senses a disturbance in the Force, a flicker of malice on Tatooine's horizon. Darth Maul is near, his Zabrak senses attuned to Qui-Gon's presence. Luke's instincts scream to act, but he restrains himself, knowing a premature confrontation could unravel his mission. Instead, he follows Qui-Gon and Anakin to a small moisture farm, where Shmi Skywalker welcomes her son's victory with quiet strength. Luke lingers in the shadows, watching the family he never knew, his heart torn between duty and longing. Shmi's love for Anakin mirrors Luke's own for his lost family, fueling his resolve to protect them. Qui-Gon, negotiating with Watto for Anakin's freedom, remains unaware of the approaching danger. But Luke's senses are razor-sharp, tracking Maul's movements through the Force. The narrative shifts to Coruscant, where the galaxy's political heart beats with corruption. In the Senate, Senator Palpatine maneuvers with silken precision, his public face one of concern for Naboo's plight. Luke, through his Force vision, knows Palpatine's true nature, but his isolation on Tatooine limits his ability to act. The Jedi Council, gathered in their temple, debates the Trade Federation's blockade, unaware of the Sith's influence. Luke's absence from this timeline makes him an outsider, his warnings untested and his credibility unproven. Yet, the Force guides him, urging him to connect with key figures, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and perhaps even Queen Amidala, to unravel Sidious's web. The challenge lies in balancing immediate threats, like Maul, with the long-term goal of exposing the Sith Lord. Back on Tatooine, the first spark of conflict ignites. As Qui-Gon leads Anakin and Shmi toward a waiting ship, Darth Maul's speeder crests a dune, his red-black form a blur of menace. Luke, hidden behind a rocky outcrop, ignites his green lightsaber, its hum cutting through the desert silence. The clash is swift and brutal. Maul's double-bladed saber spins with lethal grace, meeting Luke's precise strikes. Qui-Gon, startled, draws his own blade, but Luke signals him to protect Anakin. The duel rages across the sands, Luke's mastery of the Force holding Maul at bay, but the Sith's ferocity tests his limits. Each parry and thrust carries the weight of Luke's mission, to save his father, to spare Qui-Gon, to alter the galaxy's fate. The battle ends inconclusively as Maul, sensing reinforcements, retreats into the dunes, leaving Luke breathless but resolute. Qui-Gon, shaken but intrigued, questions Luke's identity, sensing his power but not his origins. Luke deflects, claiming to be a Jedi from a distant system, sent to aid against the Sith. Qui-Gon accepts this for now, his focus on Anakin's safety, but a seed of curiosity is planted. The group boards Qui-Gon's ship, bound for Naboo, where the Trade Federation's invasion looms. Luke, seated in the ship's hold, meditates on the Force, seeking clarity. His clash with Maul has confirmed the Sith's presence, but it has also drawn Sidious's attention. The galaxy's fate hangs in the balance, and Luke knows the next steps, on Naboo and beyond, will test his courage, wisdom, and heart. The sleek Nubian ship streaks through hyperspace, its silver hull a fleeting glimmer against the swirling blue void. Inside, Luke Skywalker sits in meditative silence, the hum of the engines a faint echo to the turmoil in his heart. The clash with Darth Maul on Tatooine lingers like a wound, its intensity a reminder of the Sith's relentless hunger. Luke's mission, to protect Anakin, expose Sidious, and save Qui-Gon, feels more precarious with each passing moment. His blue eyes, shadowed with doubt, flicker toward young Anakin Skywalker, who tinkers with a droid component in the ship's hold. The boy's innocence, untouched by the darkness Luke knows awaits, stirs a fierce protectiveness. Yet, the Jedi Master within him wrestles with fear. Can he shield Anakin without drawing Sidious's gaze? The Force offers no clear answer, only a pulse of urgency as the ship nears Naboo. Qui-Gon Jinn, seated across from Luke, studies the mysterious Jedi with quiet intensity. The Tatooine duel has deepened his curiosity, sensing in Luke a power and wisdom that belies his unassuming demeanor. Qui-Gon's mission remains unchanged: deliver Anakin to the Jedi Council and aid Queen Amidala against the Trade Federation. But Luke's presence complicates matters. The Jedi Master senses a broader threat, one the Council's rigid protocols may not grasp. Luke, aware of Qui-Gon's scrutiny, maintains his guise as a wandering Jedi. But their shared glance carries an unspoken alliance. Qui-Gon's belief in the living Force, his openness to instinct over doctrine, makes him the ally Luke needs, yet also a risk, for his defiance of the Council could draw Sidious's attention. The seeds of a secondary arc take root. Qui-Gon's evolving perspective may reshape the Jedi's role in the galaxy, if Luke can guide him. On Naboo, the lush planet's emerald forests and golden cities stand in stark contrast to the Trade Federation's looming blockade. As Qui-Gon's ship slips past the droid-controlled battleships, Luke senses the Sith's influence tightening like a noose. Theed, the capital, lies under siege, its waterfalls silent under the weight of occupation. Queen Amidala, resolute in her royal garb, greets the Jedi with guarded hope, her young face masking a fierce determination. Luke, introduced as a Jedi ally, feels a pang of recognition. Padme, his mother, stands before him, unaware of their bond. Her courage mirrors the stories Leia once shared, and Luke's resolve hardens to protect her. The group plans a counterstrike, retake Theed, disable the droid control ship, and rally the Gungan army. Luke, however, knows the true threat lies not in droids, but in Darth Maul, who stalks their every move. The first spark of action ignites in Theed's palace, where Luke, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Amidala's guard infiltrate the throne room. Battle droids clatter through marble halls, their blasters spitting red bolts. Luke's green lightsaber hums to life, deflecting fire with fluid precision, his movements a dance of mastery honed through decades. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan fight in tandem, their blades a blur of green and blue, but Luke's presence shifts the tide. His force pushes shattering droid ranks. Amidala, wielding a blaster, holds her own, her shots precise. Yet, Luke's heart races with unease. Maul's absence is a silent threat, and the Force warns of danger beyond the palace. The throne room secured, the group splits. Amidala to rally her forces, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan to the hangar, and Luke to pursue a disturbance in the Force, drawn to Theed's plasma refinery. In the refinery's labyrinthine chambers, where plasma arcs crackle with raw energy, Luke confronts his fears. The hum of machinery mirrors the chaos in his mind. Protecting Anakin means altering his father's path, but at what cost? Memories of his own failures with Ben Solo flood back, the pain of betrayal sharp as a blade. Luke's hand tightens on his lightsaber, the weight of destiny pressing harder. The Force pulses, and Darth Maul emerges from the shadows, his double-bladed saber igniting with a hiss. And folks, that's our story. The duel erupts in a storm of red and green, Maul's ferocity matched by Luke's calm precision. Each strike carries the weight of their opposing destinies. Maul, a weapon of rage. Luke, a guardian of hope. The refinery trembles, plasma conduits sparking as their blades clash, but Luke's mastery holds, forcing Maul to retreat once more. The encounter leaves Luke shaken, his doubts deepening. Can he defeat the Sith without losing himself? The narrative shifts to Coruscant, where the galaxy's political machinations churn. In the Jedi Temple, the Council debates Qui-Gon's report of Anakin and the mysterious Jedi who aided him. Yoda, his eyes heavy with wisdom, senses a disturbance in the Force, while Mace Windu questions the stranger's motives. Luke's absence from their timeline makes him an enigma, his warnings about Sidious unvoiced but looming in his mind. In the Senate, Palpatine, cloaked in his senator's guise, manipulates the Trade Federation's actions, his words sowing discord. Luke, through meditation, glimpses this deception, but his isolation on Naboo limits his reach. The Council's rigidity, their trust in the Senate, blinds them to the Sith's presence, and Luke knows he must act swiftly to expose Palpatine before his plans solidify. Back on Naboo, tension escalates as the Gungan army, led by Jar Jar Binks and Boss Nass, prepares to face the droid army on the Great Grass Plains. Luke joins Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan in the hangar, where they board starfighters to target the droid control ship. The skies above Naboo erupt in chaos, N-1 starfighters weaving through laser barrages from vulture droids. Luke, piloting with seasoned skill, leads a squadron, his force-enhanced reflexes guiding precise shots. The control ship looms, its shields flickering under attack, but Luke's focus splits. Anakin, left with Amidala's guard, is vulnerable, and Maul's presence lingers like a storm. Qui-Gon, in a nearby fighter, senses Luke's unease, their bond strengthening through shared purpose. The battle's intensity mirrors Luke's inner struggle, the weight of altering history pressing against his every maneuver. The action returns to Tatooine, where Shmi Skywalker, left behind, faces a new threat. Bounty hunters, hired by Sidious to eliminate loose ends, descend on her moisture farm. Luke, alerted through a Force vision, sends a message to Qui-Gon, urging him to dispatch Obi-Wan to Tatooine. Obi-Wan, torn between duty and instinct, arrives just as blaster fire lights up the desert night. His blue lightsaber carves through the hunters, protecting Shmi, but the attack confirms Sidious's reach. Obi-Wan's success, relayed to Luke via comm, strengthens their alliance, but it also deepens Luke's fear. Sidious is watching, and every move risks exposing his plan. Shmi's safety, a personal anchor for Luke, fuels his determination to confront the Sith, but the cost of his actions weighs heavier. On Naboo, the ground battle unfolds with relentless fury. Gungan shields buckle under droid tank barrages, Jar Jar's clumsiness somehow turning chaos into opportunity. Luke, back on the planet after the space skirmish, joins Qui-Gon in Theed's streets, where droid reinforcements swarm. The Jedi fight as one, their blades a symphony of light. But Luke's mind is elsewhere. Anakin, now in the palace with Amidala, is a beacon for Maul. Qui-Gon, sensing Luke's distraction, presses him for truth, but Luke deflects, promising answers after the battle. Their exchange, brief but charged, hints at Qui-Gon's growing doubt in the Council's ways, his openness to Luke's unorthodox approach, a spark for change. The Force hums with possibility, but also peril, as Maul's shadow draws closer. Luke's emotional struggle peaks as he senses Anakin's fear through the Force. The boy, caught in the palace's crossfire, clings to R2-D2, his courage tempered by vulnerability. Luke's heart aches, the memory of his father's fall a constant warning. He vows to protect Anakin, not just from Maul, but from the Jedi's rigid training and Sidious's manipulation. This resolve clashes with his fear of failure, the specter of Ben Solo's turn to darkness haunting him. Qui-Gon, fighting beside him, embodies the balance Luke seeks, instinct over dogma, compassion over detachment. Their partnership, forged in battle, becomes a lifeline, but the approaching climax looms, with Maul's inevitable return threatening to unravel everything. The tension builds as Luke and Qui-Gon push toward the palace, droid wreckage littering their path. The Force pulses with warning. Maul is inside, stalking Anakin and Amidala. Luke's lightsaber hums, his steps quickening, but his mind races with strategy. Confronting Maul now risks a repeat of Tatooine's stalemate, but delay could cost lives. Qui-Gon, sensing the same threat, urges speed, his trust in Luke solidifying. The stage is set for a reckoning, not just with Maul, but with the galaxy's fate. Luke's mission, his father's future, and Qui-Gon's survival hang in the balance. The Force, a turbulent sea guiding them toward an uncertain shore. Theed's palace looms under Naboo's twilight, its spires silhouetted against a sky streaked with laser fire. Inside, the air crackles with tension as Luke Skywalker and Qui-Gon Jinn race through marble corridors, their lightsabers humming with purpose. The Force pulses with danger. Darth Maul is near, his malevolent presence a shadow over young Anakin Skywalker and Queen Amidala. Luke's heart pounds, his resolve to protect his father clashing with the fear of failure that has haunted him since Ahch-To. Qui-Gon strides steady beside him, embodies a quiet strength, his trust in Luke a beacon amid the chaos. The clash of droid and Gungan armies echoes outside, but within these walls, a greater battle looms, one that could reshape the galaxy's fate. The high-stakes duel erupts in Theed's generator complex, where massive energy beams pulse with volatile power. Maul emerges from the shadows, his double-bladed saber igniting with a snarl, eyes burning with Zabrak fury. Luke and Qui-Gon meet him head-on, green blades flashing in unison. The fight is a tempest. Maul's spins and strikes a blur of red, countered by Luke's masterful precision and Qui-Gon's fluid grace. Sparks fly as sabers clash against durasteel. The generators hum, drowned by the ferocity of combat. Luke's mind races, balancing defense with strategy. He must protect Qui-Gon, whose death in the original timeline would leave Obi-Wan to train Anakin alone. Maul, sensing their coordination, targets Qui-Gon, forcing Luke to intercept a lethal thrust, their blades locking in a shower of light. Amid the chaos, an unexpected twist unfolds. Obi-Wan Kenobi, dispatched to guard Amidala, senses the duel through the Force and joins the fray, his blue lightsaber adding a new dynamic. The three Jedi overwhelm Maul, their combined skill pushing him back toward a plasma shaft. Luke, seizing the moment, uses the Force to hurl a control panel at Maul, disrupting his rhythm. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan press the advantage, their blades a relentless storm. Maul, snarling, leaps to a higher platform, but Luke anticipates the move, Force pushing him into the shaft's edge. With a final, desperate slash, Maul's saber is severed, and Obi-Wan's strike sends the Sith tumbling into the abyss, his scream fading into silence. The victory is swift but costly. Luke's energy is drained, and Qui-Gon's arm bears a deep burn from Maul's blade. Simultaneously, the battle in Naboo's orbit reaches its zenith. Anakin Skywalker, hidden in an N-1 starfighter by R2-D2's urging, joins the assault on the Trade Federation's droid control ship. The sky is a maelstrom of laser bolts and exploding vulture droids, Naboo's pilots weaving through the chaos. Anakin's raw Force talent guides his shots, his small hands gripping the controls with uncanny precision. Luke, linked to his father through the Force, senses this moment from Theed, his heart swelling with pride but tightening with fear. The control ship's shields falter under the onslaught, and Anakin, in a burst of instinct, fires proton torpedoes into its reactor core. The ship erupts in a blinding fireball, droid armies on the surface collapsing as their signal dies. The Gungans cheer on the plains, but Luke's relief is tempered by the knowledge that Sidious remains untouched. The emotional weight of the victory crashes over Luke as he reunites with Anakin and Amidala in Theed's palace. The boy's wide eyes, filled with awe at his own actions, mirror the hero Luke once was, but also the tragedy he fears. Qui-Gon, bandaged but resolute, kneels beside Anakin, praising his courage, while Obi-Wan watches with quiet respect. Luke, standing apart, grapples with his role. His intervention saved Qui-Gon and defeated Maul, but Sidious's shadow looms larger. The Jedi Master in him urges action to confront Palpatine on Coruscant, but the man hesitates, haunted by the ripple effects of altering time. Amidala's gratitude, her hand brushing his in thanks, stirs memories of Leia, grounding Luke in his purpose, to protect this family, this galaxy, at any cost. The narrative slows as the group travels to Coruscant, the galaxy's heart pulsing with hidden corruption. In the Jedi Temple, Luke stands before the Council, his identity still concealed as a Jedi from a distant system. Yoda's piercing gaze and Mace Windu's skepticism test his resolve, but Qui-Gon's support lends weight to his words. Luke warns of a Sith Lord manipulating the Senate, hinting at Palpatine without direct accusation, knowing proof is scarce. The Council, bound by tradition, hesitates, but Qui-Gon's impassioned plea, fueled by his near death and Luke's influence, sways them to investigate. This moment marks the culmination of Qui-Gon's arc, his openness to the living Force challenging the Council's rigidity, planting seeds for reform that Luke hopes will endure. On Coruscant's lower levels, Luke pursues a lead to Sidious, guided by a Force vision of a Sith artifact in the Works District. The industrial sprawl, lit by flickering neon, hums with danger. Luke's search leads to a hidden chamber, where he finds a holocron pulsing with dark energy, its records detailing Sidious's plans for the clone army. Before he can secure it, a trap springs. Battle droids, programmed by Sidious, swarm the chamber. Luke's lightsaber carves through them, but the holocron is damaged in the fray, its data fragmented. The loss is a blow, but Luke's resolve hardens. He must confront Sidious directly, even at great personal cost. Qui-Gon, informed of the attack, joins Luke, their bond now unbreakable, a mentor and ally who sees the galaxy through Luke's eyes. Luke, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Anakin return to Naboo to celebrate victory, only to face a final reckoning. Sidious, enraged by Maul's defeat, dispatches a new threat, a prototype droideka assassin, its shields impervious to standard attacks. The machine strikes during the festival, its blasters tearing through Theed's plaza. Luke, shielding Anakin, fights with desperate ferocity, his saber useless against the droideca's shield. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan flank the droid, but its firepower overwhelms them. In a moment of sacrifice, Luke channels the Force into a massive push, collapsing a stone arch onto the droideca, crushing it, but leaving him vulnerable. A stray plasma bolt strikes Luke's chest, and he falls, the world fading as Anakin's cries echo in his ears. Luke awakens in a Theed medical bay, his wound grave but not fatal, tended by a familiar figure, Bail Organa, a young senator attending the celebration. Bail's presence, a nod to Leia's adoptive father, stirs nostalgia in Luke, grounding the story in Star Wars' legacy. Qui-Gon, at Luke's bedside, reveals the Council's decision to probe the Senate, Palpatine's influence waning as Bail and Mon Mothma rally dissenters. Anakin, clutching Luke's hand, vows to become a Jedi, his path now guided by Qui-Gon's wisdom and Luke's sacrifice. The loss of the holocron is a tragedy, but Luke's actions have exposed Sidious's shadow, delaying his plans for the Clone Wars. The galaxy shifts in the aftermath. On Coruscant, the Senate, spurred by Bail's leadership, curbs emergency powers, weakening Palpatine's grip. The Jedi, inspired by Qui-Gon's survival and Luke's warnings, reform their ways, embracing the living Force and training Anakin with compassion. Luke, weakened but alive, chooses to fade into obscurity, his mission complete, but his heart heavy with the cost. He watches Anakin train under Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, a family preserved, a darkness delayed. The Force flows freely, its balance restored, though Sidious remains a distant threat, his plans disrupted but not destroyed. Years later, Naboo's fields bloom under a peaceful sky. Anakin, now a Jedi Knight, stands beside Padme, their love open and untainted. Qui-Gon, a council member, guides a new generation of Jedi, while Obi-Wan mentors with warmth. Luke, cloaked and unseen, watches from a hill, his scar a reminder of his sacrifice. Bail Organa, now a key senator, honors Luke's legacy by fostering democracy. The galaxy, though not perfect, thrives in coexistence, its wounds healing under a shared hope. Luke turns, his silhouette fading into the Force, at peace with the world he saved. This one hit me hard. Luke's journey, carrying the weight of his future knowledge, felt like a love letter to Star Wars' themes of hope and sacrifice. I drew inspiration from The Last Jedi's introspective Luke, blending it with the action of The Phantom Menace. The idea of saving Qui-Gon and reshaping Anakin's path was a dream to explore. I hope you felt the same thrill and heartache I did writing this. Let me know what you think, what moments hit you, or what Star Wars what-if you'd love next. Thanks for reading, and may the Force be with you.